Hello, and welcome to another video from 3.5 Archive. Today we're going to be doing another D&D 3.5 Prestige class review, and we're going to be looking at the Chaotician from the Planar Handbook. We'll also be looking at the Xaositect, spelled Xaositect, which is the original version of this Prestige class from Dragon Magazine number 287, and we're going to be comparing the two versions of the Prestige class. The Chaotician has 5 levels, whereas the Xaositect was 10 levels, so from that alone you can see that they are very different. Chaoticians are those who worship the unpredictability of the multiverse. They find chaos inspiring, often wandering aimlessly in order to experience it in as pure form as possible. To become a Chaotician, you'll need a base attack bonus of +4 or more, and a base save bonus of at least +2 in each save. You'll also need to be of chaotic alignment. This means that any class will eventually qualify for this Prestige class by level 8 at the latest, excluding of course the Paladin and Monk, which are precluded from taking levels in it in the first place. A Chaotician doesn't get any spellcasting advancement, so the classes that take the longest to qualify for it, such as Sorcerer or Wizard, end up not finding it very desirable anyway. As such, the Chaotician can be qualified for by level 6 in Rogue, Fighter, Ranger, or nearly any other class. The fastest way to get into this Prestige class would be with 2 levels in Ranger and 2 levels in Hexblade, or with 2 levels in Duskblade and 2 levels in Ranger, or something else of that sort that combines to give you at least a +2 in each base save. Really though, you only need 1 level in each of those classes for the sake of the base save bonuses, and after that you can take any full base attack class to get to the prerequisites. So it isn't hard to get into this Prestige class after 4th level, which is rare for a Prestige class. It's important to note that the Xaositect has the exact same requirements as the Chaotician. I would rate this Prestige class's requirements as hardly restrictive at all, given that you're going to automatically qualify for it probably by level 6. Let's see if it's worth all that effort, or rather complete lack thereof, to qualify for. As a Chaotician, you get a D10 hit die, a full base attack bonus, good reflex save, and 4+ intelligence modifier skill points per level. This almost looks like a hybrid fighter rogue in terms of stats. This is a pretty good base. A full base attack bonus is something you can always work with. The Xaositect stats are far inferior. As a 10 level Prestige class, it only gets half its level to base attack bonus, only a D8 hit die, and only 2+ intelligence modifier skill points. That's not a very good base at all. Also, neither of these Prestige classes advance spellcasting, again, so stay away from these completely if you are a spellcaster. So let's take a look at what class features you get from being a Chaotician. At level 1 you get 2 features, Chaotic Contagion and Scofflaw. Let's look at Scofflaw first, as it's simpler. Scofflaw hinders divinations cast against you by lawful creatures, forcing them to succeed on a caster level check against DC 15 plus your class level plus your charisma bonus. This is both better and worse than the normal DC, which is just 15 plus your caster level. Avoiding divinations is nice, but oftentimes the problem with divinations such as scrying is that your enemy will just keep on casting them. This feature might delay the inevitable for a few days, but like non-detection, it is no match for a true incognito mode spell like Mind Blank. Also at level 1 you get Chaotic Contagion. This feature lets you make a melee touch attack to give a target a -2 to armor class against your attacks, a -2 on saves against your abilities, and a -2 on opposed skill checks against you. A will save against a DC of 10 plus your charisma modifier plus your Chaotician class level negates it, and gives them 24 hours immunity against it. The effect lasts an hour if you do get it on them, and you can use this a number of times per day equal to your class level. This feature is interesting certainly. One of the biggest issues here is that, well, the best feature would be the penalty to saving throws. But frankly, that would really only be good if you had very limited spells, as it'd be better to just cast a spell a couple times and hope they get a worse roll in the second saving throw. Taking a level of this Prestige class and not advancing your spellcasting seems like a way to miss out in the superior method of offensive spellcasting. Touching a target for a chance to make your other attacks more likely to hit, as a standard action, really isn't that good either. Maybe a monk could use it as a setup for Quivering Palm, but monks can't take levels in this Prestige class at all. This feature doesn't seem very good. A good comparison is the Hexblade's Curse, which isn't a fantastic feature, but it is usable as a free action and at range. The former is more important there. Using a supernatural ability is a standard action unless otherwise noted. Yes, it requires an attack roll as part of the ability, but that doesn't mean it can be integrated into a full attack routine. And this penalty only works for you, meaning it isn't going to help your allies at all, so you're going to have to follow it up with something else on subsequent rounds. Overall, it's just not a very good ability. At level 2, you get Anarchic Grace. This feature lets you enter a chaotic dance that is truly unpredictable, giving you a 50% mischance on all attacks. Even True Sight doesn't bypass this, so it's better than a Cloak of Displacement or the Displacement spell. Even better, it's a free action to activate. It's only once per day, eventually twice per day, which is a shame, but still, effectively doubling your hit points for 2 to 5 rounds is a great ability. At level 3, you get the Babble ability. This is a once per day ability that lets you turn all sound in a 10-foot radius into garbled noise. This is like a silence spell, but with a smaller radius. It helps you stop spellcasting, and on a more mobile character like a rogue, this is better than on a cleric who cannot tumble their way over to an enemy spellcaster the way a rogue can. This can't be dispelled, so the only way to deal with it is to kill the character. Funnily enough, this ability doesn't seem to have a duration. One could assume it's 1 round per class level like with Anarchic Grace, but it's unclear. Either way, this will probably be sufficient to last 1 combat encounter, and that's good enough. You probably won't need to use this once per day, more than once per day. That makes you a fantastic anti-spellcaster warrior. It won't always be useful though, like Anarchic Grace almost always will. Also at level 3, you get Clarity of Confusion. This feature gives you a +2 insight bonus on saves against pattern illusions, compulsion enchantments, and lawful spells. This is a fairly specific list and a bit of work for the DM to keep track of. Your will save won't be amazing coming into this class, but these types of spells are bad to fail saves against, so it's a decent feature to have. Some kind of bonus to your effective hit dice against spells like Dictum would have been nice too, seeing as that doesn't have a saving throw and is one of the most iconic lawful spells, but that's fine. Not a fantastic feature overall. At level 4, you get your second use per day of Anarchic Grace. Another feature would be nice here, but I guess we can't expect too much. At level 5, you get Destiny's Arbiter. This lets you re-roll a roll you just made, or force a creature you can see within 30 feet of you to re-roll a roll it just made. You get to know the result of the roll before deciding on the re-roll. And as with most such abilities in D&D 3.5, you have to take the results of the second roll, like it or not. Still, this is a great ability. Luck rerolls, especially ones you can use on your opponents, are great. Once per day doesn't seem very good, but it makes a huge difference, especially forcing a creature to reroll a save it passes against a wizard's death spell, or to reroll your own failed save against a death spell. One need only look at the Silvery Barb spell from D&D 5th edition to see how powerful this effect can be, a spell that many DMs end up banning, and not for a bad reason. While this is not as powerful as that is, or usable as many times per day, the point stands that luck rerolls can be used on enemies, are extremely powerful, and this is a worthy capstone to this prestige class. So overall, the Chaotician gives us a few bonuses to a few different saves, a rather mediocre debuffing touch attack, a great defensive option in Anarchic Grace, and an awesome luck reroll we can use on enemies, and lastly a pseudo-silence effect. These don't synergize amazingly well, except perhaps against a wizard wielding ray spells. Either way, this prestige class is different, if mostly for the Anarchic Grace ability. Given that it has a D10 hit die and a full base attack bonus, dipping 2 levels in this prestige class for that can be great. However, a Cloak of Displacement is 50,000 gold pieces. That's a fairly large investment and is defeated by True Seeing, which a lot of high-level monsters have, but it also functions all day. This could definitely be a 2 or 4 level dip for a fighter who isn't interested in a lot more feats, or a rogue who doesn't mind losing some sneak attack damage for a bit more durability, perhaps in a smaller party or one that doesn't have a dedicated frontline damage sponge. In a campaign where you fight a lot of wizards and don't have a cleric to cast silence, this can be pretty good as well. And the full base attack bonus you get here isn't a terrible upgrade for rogues either, helping their accuracy a little bit. Admittedly, even all 5 levels will only give you a +2 base attack edge over the rogue at the cost of 2 to 3 d6s of sneak attack, which is 7 to 10 damage per hit. So unless you're doing 70 to 100 damage per hit, you're going to be coming out roughly behind on average with a 10% boost to your accuracy. So you can definitely replace a lot of these features with some magic items, but it's still cool to have them innately. This prestige class is fun for a sort of mashup multi-class build that isn't focused on optimization and just needs a couple powerful abilities to give the character some extra staying power in a fight, as well as a few situational tricks up your sleeve. Let's quickly look at the Xaositect so we can compare them. Remember, this is a 10 level prestige class instead of 5, and it only has a d8 hit die and a half level base attack bonus, so like a wizard. It gets the Scofflaw feature still, now called Hide from the Law at level 1. The bonus on saves against pattern illusions becomes outright immunity, and a +3 on saves against lawful spells. You get this at level 1 instead of level 3. The Chaotic Contagion is now a touch attack confusion effect that affects undead, constructs, oozes, and vermin as well, due to it being fueled by raw chaos rather than mind-affecting magic. That is absolutely fantastic. You can use this 3+ charisma modifier times per day, which is more than enough. And it's better than confusion as it goes off the random action spell from the 3.0 player's handbook, where a d8 is rolled and 6 of the 8 actions involve the enemy not attacking you. Constructs have horrible saves, generally speaking, and are immune to most effects that require them, so an Iron Golem with a +6 will save will have a pretty good chance of falling victim to this ability. Suddenly, the half-level base attack bonus isn't looking as bad. The Babel feature is similar but can be used 3 plus charisma modifier times per day like Chaotic Contagion. Its radius also expands as you go through levels in this prestige class, potentially causing problems for casters in your own party when you've got 10 levels in Xaositect and have a 50-foot radius aura of preventing spellcasting. Your allies might not like that. Confusion Aura is a new feature progressing from 5 to 20 feet that you can project centered on yourself and confuse creatures in that area. This one, like with Babel, definitely requires some tactical maneuvering to avoid messing with your own party, but it is a smaller radius and it is a solid spell-like ability, and since you'll probably be fighting in melee, then it's not going to be as big of a problem. Anarchic Grace becomes Chaotic Defense and is downgraded to an ongoing 10% mischance. A fair price to pay, but it doesn't mean this class loses some of its generic appeal. Burst of Chaos is a level 6 feature for the Xaositect that works like Chaos Hammer to damage lawful creatures. Usable, again, 3 plus charisma modifier times per day, like the others. You'll probably not even use all of those. At level 7, you get Spark of Life, which lets you temporarily animate 1 cubic foot of objects per Xaositect level within 20 feet of you and lasting 3 plus charisma modifier rounds. Animated objects can be quite powerful, though 7 cubic feet would definitely limit you to a medium coat hook or something like that. Maybe you could make the argument it could work on a large-sized carpet, which would have a plus 10 grapple modifier to maybe blind someone while it's stuck on, but this ability will be coming in at character level 11, so keep in mind the kind of monsters you'll be fighting at that point. It's still a useful feature as you can put some bags of hit points in front of you as meat shields to protect other members of the party in an emergency, but it's not going to be something that you're going to be jumping right to using. At level 9, you get Law's Bane, which is an ongoing permanent protection from Law spell. Quite nice, but you won't always be fighting lawful creatures, so this will only come up part of the time. And finally, at level 10, you get Chance's Master, which is the enemy side of the luck reroll from Chaotician. Of course, this is 2 separate uses of the ability, but it's superior overall. So the Xaositect gets some nice spell-like abilities that can be difficult to maneuver to avoid catching the party in the effect of, and a much better touch attack than the Chaotician's Chaotic Contagion. Being able to take constructs, vermin, and oozes out of the fight with a type of ability not normally meant to be able to affect them is very potent. This prestige class drastically changes the character who takes it. Dipping into this for Chaotic Contagion might be a good idea. Xaositect as a 1-level dip is actually kind of fantastic, although your save won't progress as well. In fact, it might be worth blending with Chaotician if your Dungeon Master were to allow such a thing to get Anarchic Grace. For 3 levels, it would be a great defensive and great offensive ability at the cost of 1 point of base attack bonus overall. Not a bad break for a rogue who wants to cause some chaos with some extra powers up his sleeve. Going fully into Xaositect is hard as it gives you a bunch of pre-selected spell-like abilities. A wizard would get access to animate objects at the same character level as Xaositect would, with potentially more uses per day, along with a bunch of other far more powerful spells. Chaos Hammer and Confusion are nice spells, but you can cast those on your own. Even Babel can be replaced by Silence with a less annoyingly large aura. But Chaotic Contagion cannot be easily replicated, and thus is a great feature to take. And for a prestige class that's extremely easy to dip into, it is a very tempting option. Although you will have to worry about the saving throw not being very good if you don't continue progressing in the prestige class, so there is that to keep in mind. Overall, the Chaotician and Xaositect get 4 stars for concept and 3 stars for execution. They are worth taking a couple levels in, but probably not good to go fully into unless you are comfortable with your role in the party being supplemental. The Chaotician keeps fighter tier stats and hit points and attack bonus, so if you're happy with your feats, feel free to experiment. The Xaositect is a much stranger commitment with much more situational abilities, but again, being able to take some of these monsters out of the fight that don't have very good saving throws and are normally relying on their immunity to mind-affecting effects can be really satisfying. As a full class, it is solidly 3 stars, but as a dip, it maybe comes to 4, as confusing constructs, again, is quite fantastic, and a good way to deal with something that oftentimes is difficult to deal with a D&D 3.5 party, especially as a fighter. So that'll be about it for this D&D 3.5 Prestige class review. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and so on. Thanks for watching, and let me know what Prestige classes you would like to see reviewed next. I will see you next time here on 3.5 Archive.